Just as Rolex has its iconic oyster bracelet, Omega has its famous flat link bracelet, which was equipped on the 1957 trilogy of professional sports watches, the Speedmaster, the Railmaster, and the Seamaster 300, which all have 19mm lug gaps. Of the various flat link references produced by Omega, a few of them could be fit to watches with smaller cases and 18mm lugs. In this video, I'm going to discuss some of the vintage Omega flat link bracelets that can be fit to my favorite Omega model, the Ranchero, specifically the 7077, the 7912, and the 1035 bracelets. I'll also share with you some of the details and challenges I've learned along the way while working with these vintage bracelets. This was the earliest flat link, reference 7077, and like all of Omega's flat link bracelets, the design is sporty and timeless, with this three-piece link design with a brushed center link and polished side links. As the name implies, the links are flat on top, but notice the subtle rounding of the corners of the links, something that has not been accurately reproduced in modern aftermarket offerings, such as those from Uncle Seiko and Forstner. All Omega flat link bracelets are constructed with 8 progressively tapering permanent links plus additional removable stretchable links on either side of the clasp. Omega's flat link bracelets are slim and very comfortable on the wrist, and the spring-loaded stretch links are a big reason for this. The first version of the 7077 has these stretch links that were made to look like a pair of links and employ this zigzag-shaped steel spring housed inside the center link that was accessible when the link is opened by inserting a small flathead screwdriver or similar tool into this slot on the back. This is also a relatively convenient way of adding or removing additional spring links for sizing purposes. Here's a video I posted dedicated to the removal and reassembly of the double spring links. The 7077 uses solid outer links, whereas the later bracelet models will use folded side links, which you can see from the edges. The earliest 7077 bracelets from 1958 did not have a date stamp in the usual place on the back of the clasp, where later iterations would have a stamp signifying the quarter and the year of production. As far as I know, the reference number 7077 was never stamped on the clasp. Looking at this example of a first-generation 7077 from 1958, the terminal widest links measure just less than 18 millimeters, which allows it to fit the 19mm lug gap of the trilogy models with use of a 19mm end piece, such as the number 6. However, with the correct 18mm end piece, this same 7077 flat link bracelet could also be fitted to the so-called fourth musketeer to the trilogy, the Ranchero, with its slimmer profile and narrower 18mm lug width. To fit the 7077 to the Ranchero case, you can use a number 4 end link. There are 3 different styles of the number 4. The earliest and period correct end piece is the single notch number 4, like this one. Due to the length of the notch, leaving a very thin amount of metal here, these are susceptible to breakage if you're not careful when removing the end piece. There is a later number 4 with double notches, and finally there is a version with no notches, which I would imagine is the most difficult to work with, as Omega watch cases usually do not come with drilled lugs. Here's the 7077 with the number 4 end links on my Ranchero. Notice the nice integrated fit between the case and the bracelet links. They fit well on the backside too, but the profile of the number 4 end link doesn't fit exactly with the lug profile on the very slender Ranchero. It's not terrible, but it is noticeable. I believe that the number 4 end link was intended to be used on automatic Omega models such as Constellations and Seamasters, which have wider mid-cases. The second generation 7077 bracelets switched to single spring links that have a C-shaped construction just like the non-spring links, and removal of a link requires prying open the center links. Starting in 1961, however, the 7077 gradually transitioned into the 7912 and saw some noticeable changes. The solid side links of the 7077 gave way to folded side links like these. Also, the clasp cover switched from the short buckle to the long one. Finally, and perhaps most conveniently, The stretch links were updated to modern quick-remove single spring links, which continued through the end of the flat link era in the mid-1970s with later models such as the 18mm 1035 and the 19mm wide 1039. Here's a video I posted showing the removal and reattachment of the single spring links. Here's my Ranchero on a 7912 from 1964 using number 7 end links, which measure just less than 18 millimeters. The number 7 also has this central cutout, allowing for the nice integrated look. As compared to the number 4, however, the number 7 is slightly shorter from top to bottom. The number 7s have spacious back tabs and nice double wide notches for easy removal. However, the radius of the curvature on the back is slightly wider and doesn't fit the Ranchero case back exactly, but this is only a visual issue as it does not compromise the fit at all. The big advantage is that the number 7 has a perfect match to the lug profile of the Ranchero case. Look at the difference of the number 4 and the number 7 side by side. The third and final 18mm flat link option I'll discuss is the 1035 from the late 1960s and early 1970s. These newer generation flat links have the modern logo design on the clasp cover, and there's usually less stretch between the links. I'm not sure if it's because of the younger age of the examples that I've seen, or perhaps there's some slight improvements to the construction of the internal link pins of the permanent links. Perhaps it's both. The age-appropriate end links for an 18mm application are the number 630s as seen here. They fit the case well from the front, the side, and the back. Their backs have these short double notches. The problem I have with the number 630s is that the cutout for the central bracelet link is very shallow, and when coupled with the bracelet, it doesn't have that integrated appearance like the two previous end links I showed. But this is just my opinion and preference. Another quirk is that the 630 end pieces don't fit the older 7077 bracelet. It just doesn't seat deep enough to allow that spring bar to come through. However, the major challenge with the 1035 is that the terminal ends measure 18 millimeters or slightly wider, which means they don't fit the usual sub 18 millimeter lug spacing of the reference 2990 or 2996 case of your Ranchero or Seamaster without some modification. You'll either have to remove the terminal link and reattach the center link, which holds the spring bar, to the second widest link. That's an operation I haven't attempted nor care to undertake for fear of damaging the links. The other option is to file down a bit of the width of the terminal links, and signs of filing are not rare on these bracelets. I also had to do this on my Uncle Seiko aftermarket 1035. For me, the best combination is a hybrid bracelet using the number 7 end links, the tighter links of the newer 1035 bracelet, and the long clasp with the overhanging omega symbol of the 7912, like what I've done here. Of course, these little mods are completely reversible when it comes time for resale. As far as pricing goes, the earlier ones command a higher price. When you're shopping for them, be aware of how many permanent links are in place. There should be 8 on each side, plus 6 single stretch links on the 12 o'clock side and 4 on the 6 o'clock side in the case of the 7912s and 1035s. For the older 7077, a complete bracelet will have 8 permanent links on each side, plus 3 double stretch links on the 12 o'clock side and 2 double stretch links on the 6 o'clock side, like this one. Although for most wrists, it will place the clasp closer to the inside of your wrist and not centered. It's not uncommon nor a tragedy if one or more of the permanent links were removed, but it should be reflected in the price. So there's an introduction for some vintage options for your Ranchero if you want it on an original Omega flat link bracelet. It's unclear if Omega ever sold the Ranchero on bracelet, as the rare catalog photos always seem to show it on a leather strap, but I thought this would be helpful for anybody wanting to wear their Ranchero on an authentic Omega flat link bracelet. I want to acknowledge my friend Hiro Fukada, who's really given me a great education on these bracelets, and also the many fine folks I've connected with on the Omega forum. Alright, good luck with your Omega flat link adventures, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.